circumstances. There was a few weeks ago, a doctor said that she was going to be dead in 4 days, according to her, because of a bus accident, but that didn't really happen or wasn't exactly right. Just some very weird things regarding Virginia Guthrie in the last few weeks, and now all of a sudden she is no longer living. We don't have a lot of details as to what happened, and we might not ever really know because that's very personal, very private. But what it is, it's another person surrounded by that whole group, Jeffrey Epstein, Prince Andrew, that is now no longer living. And Virginia was incredibly outspoken as to everything that she went through, from the trafficking to the abuse, everything between Jeffrey Epstein, Prince Andrew, etc. She was very vocal about it. So I'm very interested to see what other information comes out about this. I will keep an eye out and let you guys know as soon as we have more information or more things are released.
So they really expect us to believe this. Prince Andrew's famous accuser, Virginia Giuffre, is dead, and it's all too convenient. Prince Andrew was not the only person Virginia accused of nefarious activity, but here's where it gets really seedy. When Giuffre filed lawsuit, she and her legal team submitted hundreds of pages of evidence. A lot of these pages were redacted. The US government was slowly unsealing them, revealing the names that were mentioned. People accused of participating in the abuse, people who witnessed the abuse and were around her, people who financially benefited from Epstein's activities. People originally called John Doe 1, John Doe 2, anonymous names, but they were slowly being released up until now. People like Bill Richardson, former governor of New Mexico, John George Mitchell, another very prolific American politician, Larry Summers, former head of Harvard University, Thomas Pritzker, American billionaire, owner of the Hyatt Hotel Group. Court filings suggested that she had knowledge that could implicate additional people, wealthy, political, and royal. There is still, and maybe now will always be, a hidden list of very powerful people. People have fought extremely hard to have their names sealed, and people have said Giuffre knew too much. She accused Alan Dershowitz of trafficking her, easily one of the most famous and powerful lawyers in the US, representing people like O.J. Simpson and Harvey Weinstein. She accused Glenn Dubin, who is a very famous American billionaire and hedge fund manager. She accused Jean-Luc Brunel, who did have many ties to Jeffrey Epstein because Jeffrey financed his modeling company in France. Now, she was in a really bad state dealing with the divorce from her husband. She wasn't in a good way to see her children. She wasn't allowed to see them at the time. But it is strange that she was fighting for her life just a couple weeks ago, and now she took her own. It doesn't make sense to me. She was outspoken and she paid the ultimate price, maybe for herself, maybe for others. So they really...
I was so young. Ghislaine woke me up in the morning and said, "You're going to meet a prince today." I didn't know at that point that I was going to be trafficked to that prince. And then that night, Prince Andrew came to her house in London, and we went out to Club Tramp. Prince Andrew got me alcohol. It was in the VIP section. I'm pretty sure it was vodka. Prince Andrew was like, "Let's dance together." And I was like, okay. And we leave Club Tramp, and I hop in the car with Ghislaine and Jeffrey, and Ghislaine said, "He's coming back to the house, and I want you to do for him what you do for Epstein." I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that even royalty were involved. I was like,
We have breaking news this evening. Virginia Giuffre, one of the most prominent survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking scheme, has died this evening of suicide. According to NBC News, she passed away at the age of 41 in Neergaby, Australia, where she had been living for several years. She was one of the earliest and loudest voices in calling for criminal charges against Epstein, and often, according to other survivors, they credited her for their ability to speak out. She assisted in the conviction of Epstein's associate, Ghislaine Maxwell, in New York as well. Her family told NBC News in a statement, quote, "It is with utterly broken hearts that we announce that Virginia passed away last night at her farm in Western Australia. She lost her life to suicide after being a lifelong victim of sexual abuse and sex trafficking." Obviously, this is horrific news. Please join me in saying a prayer for her family.
No one realized the disturbing posts. Virginia Giuffre.
Stop what you're doing. This is weird. By now.
There's something about the Virginia Giuffre thing that people are missing right now, and I just want to bring up the fact that less than 60 days ago, she had posted something on X that I think is pretty significant. If you don't know who Virginia Giuffre is, she's kind of like, she was a girl, 17, 2001, Prince of Britain, I think Andrew, she revealed that Epstein had brought her to London and that Andrew had hurt her 3 times. Well, she kicked off a chain of events, and it's very sad what her family reported in Australia yesterday, that she had unalived herself. And but there's already suspicious things that have happened. Like I heard that she, like a week ago, got hit by a bus, or something like that. It just there was no kids in the bus. It was like a school bus or something. I don't know. I don't want to spread false rumors. I just think that it's important that I bring up something. Okay, so 60 days ago on X, this is what Virginia Giuffre posted. She posted something, and it doesn't sound like somebody who's, I mean, I may be just saying what we're all thinking, but it doesn't sound like she was an inspiration for a lot of people, and I'll just read it to you. Here's the letter. It says, "Thank you kindly for your support. I have needed time to heal from so many scars being meticulously ripped open, bullying, death threats, and subsequently facing death in the face. It is no longer my time to rest. I am not being bullied back into silence or submission by anyone ever again, because I, as every single soul in this universe has, a purpose." Right? "I respect the law and have always believed that it takes a higher calling to protect and defend others, but bureaucracy has always limited their capacity to truly protect and serve. I don't blame them, but I will not let this stop me from trying to expose the truth about Epstein list." Super frustrated with the Epstein list. Just wanted to add that back. "Until my very last breath, I will always stand by all sisters and brothers around the world that stand in solidarity with those who fought to make the world a better place than we found it. One day, one step, and one breath after another. Warmest regards, V." Okay? I'm just putting that out there in the Twitterverse. Okay? She posted this. I don't know what's going on, but I am frustrated because I feel like there's monsters walking among us. But yeah, R.I.P. Virginia. Sorry.
I really do not believe that this girl took her own life. I don't believe it. Does anybody else think that this picture, does anybody else think she's already not alive in this picture? I've looked at this picture for hours and she does not look alive to me. There's literally no life in her eyes. The way the picture is, because obviously she's laid down like that, her body just does not look alive. And the bruising looks fake, because if she was that battered, she would have a lot of swelling, and she hasn't. There was only one report of a road traffic incident that day involving a school bus, but it was very minor. It wasn't, there was no injuries or anything reported by the police, no casualties. It was literally a minor road traffic incident, and now she's took her own life. Don't believe it at all, because she loved her kids, she lived for her kids. There's just no way she's took her own life. I think she was already gone in this picture, and I think it's fake. She was not alive there. What does everybody else think? It's so wrong. So wrong. All a massive cover up. Nasty royal family. What does everyone else think? I really
post at all? Any of that? I'm just saying. Did you know after about the third time of somebody trying you, like trying to take you out, did you know that you can go into witness protection? Does anybody remember this? Remember this post?
I think what I would say is, the rough trajectory of her life seems to me that when she was very young, she was being abused, as it were, on the.
That's alright. Here's my initial thoughts about the Virginia Giuffre unaliving herself and why it doesn't sit right with me. Because there has been an obvious strategy from the royal family, from the powers that be, from the men in gray suits to rehabilitate Prince Andrew. And this is why I would never agree to the comparison of the Royalists and the Suicide Squad. Because although some in the Suicide Squad are annoying as hell, they're not driving people to unaliving themselves. For those of you who don't know, Virginia Giuffre was one of the survivors of the Epstein and allegedly Prince Andrew. She accused Prince Andrew of SA when she was under 18, and many decades later, he was settled with her in court for allegedly $12 million. However, once you're an enemy of the royal family, you're always an enemy to the royal family. Because it wasn't just like she was just a critic of the royal family. She also accused one of their own of doing something of the most heinous crimes in the world and being part of some of the most evil rings of trafficking. That alone makes you a threat to that hierarchy and that system. So excuse me if some of us is a little bit skeptical about what is happening, what happened to her, and who's behind it. Some of you may bank on us for forgetting, but I don't. And I'm old enough to say I remember when Diana was writing notes to certain people talking about they were going to get her in the car, and then she passed away in a car accident. And I'm not one for conspiracy theories, but sometimes, And going back to the whole royalists, it's not that I'm accusing the actual royals of doing anything wrong. But when I say royalists, I mean the people that works within the palace, the men in gray suits, their courtiers, their aides, the media. People work in the UK, even in America. People it is a cult. And what do you do in a cult? You protect its leaders or leaders, and you're keeping the institution of which you are under alive. And anything that threatens it is a threat to you. So I'm not saying anything, but I'm saying enough. And I will get into this more.
You're the main accuser of Jeffrey Epstein.
Just a few hours ago, we learned that Virginia Giuffre, who has been one of the most outspoken victims of Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and Prince Andrew, has passed away at the age of 41. I'm going to get into some reporting on this, but first I want to bring something up that you may or may not have seen. A couple of weeks ago, Virginia posted that she had been hit by a bus in Australia and that she was given days to live. This was a post by People from April 7th, 2025, and she mentions at the time that her kidneys were failing. But you might notice the subheader, which brings up another point, and that's that Giuffre had alleged that her husband, Robert, was abusing her. The only reason I bring this up is because People does have an exclusive quote from her, but nonetheless, I'm obviously going to say allegedly. While she was in the hospital, she came forward with the allegations against her husband of 22 years. Here is the exclusive statement, quote, "I was able to fight back against Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, who abused and trafficked me, but I was unable to escape the domestic violence in my marriage until recently," which is so deeply sad. This was a woman who was trafficked as a teenager and then spent the entirety of her adult life fighting for justice. This image is probably very familiar. It features a teenage Virginia. There's the Duke of York, Prince Andrew, and there is Ghislaine Maxwell. This picture circulated widely, particularly during Virginia's civil lawsuit against Prince Andrew. This is reporting from ABC News. Giuffre brought lawsuits against all of the big names involved in this. Epstein, for one, who she settled a civil lawsuit for $500,000 in 2009. Prince Andrew agreed to settle the sexual assault lawsuit in 2022, but without admitting wrongdoing. And he certainly didn't show any remorse or care for these victims, alleged or otherwise, in that disastrous Panorama interview with Emily Matlis, which ultimately put enough pressure on Queen Elizabeth to force Prince Andrew to step down as a working royal and strip him of his patronages. You really wouldn't know that. He just doesn't have to work, but gets to go to the family walkabout and slum it in the royal lodge like a squatter. Everybody loves the deadbeat sibling. Meanwhile, Virginia kept fighting at great expense to herself. Her brother Danny told NBC News that she pushed so hard to snuff the evil out of the world. He said that her biggest push was, quote, "If I don't do this, nobody's gonna do it." He went on to say she was in real physical pain. She suffered from renal failure, but he thought that the mental pain was much worse. The Epstein story came up in the news recently when Attorney General Pam Bondi took a break from arresting judges in order to release a collection of Epstein-related files. While the eventual outcome was that most of the information contained was already widely known, it brought a lot of pain and anxiety and distress to victims leading up to this release, because they didn't know if there was going to be sensitive or personally identifying information, and many victims are still unknown. They are protected. Virginia decided to unmask herself to bring these cases forward, ultimately at great expense to herself, because while money was paid out, she was right that if she didn't do anything, no one else was going to. Virginia leaves behind 3 children. Just a few hours ago, we learned that Virginia
So everyone's waking up to the news that Virginia Giuffre has taken her own life at the age of 41. This woman has 3 children, and she obviously took Jeffrey Epstein to court. She took Prince Andrew to court and got, you know, a huge sum payout, like millions. And then she took her own life. This is just a prime example of everyone's like, oh, doing it for money, doing it for a paycheck. It's just shocking. Like, she didn't get the justice that she deserved because, yeah, Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison, but Epstein committed suicide. Prince Andrew paid her off. She is like a lifelong victim of sexual abuse since the age of 17, and that's when they started having sex with her. She was groomed probably from a very, very, very young age. I just think it's absolutely horrendous. She's 41. That is so bloody young. And, you know, I don't know if you lot remembered, she did a post basically saying that she had been hit by a school bus and had weeks to live. This is just her mental health declining at a very, very low point. And now she's committed suicide. I just feel so sorry for her, her husband, her family, her children. It's just horrendous, and there's just no justice. There's just absolutely no justice. Like, Prince Andrew, you know, was seen publicly celebrating Easter with the royals last week. I just feel like there's just no justice to the system whatsoever. She actually publicly came out and said that when she had her first child that was a baby girl, she realised that she had to seek justice because she didn't want something to happen to her child. And I think this happens a lot. You know, lots of men will come out and say, why now? Why now? And I think that's the thing. I think you get on with your life. You know, she got married, she had 3 children, and then she's gone to seek justice, and she's got justice, a little bit, not full justice, but, you know, she got some justice. Like Minnie said, she got this huge payout, but it just shows that money is not going to make that go away. She's unpicked all those wounds. She's been publicly slammed. She's probably been trolled. You know, lots of people praise her and respect her for what she did, but actually it's made her mental health so much worse, to the point where
Hey y'all, this video is for entertainment purposes only, or so to speak, or so we'll say. But am I the only one that's waking up today and really quite sure that Virginia Giuffre most likely did not unalive herself? I'm just, you know, with the whole situation of who it was that she helped turn down. I think we're all relatively sure that there's something very fishy about the situation, and if anybody else has saw the post that she put up on IG, there's just something really not sitting right with me about the whole thing. Like, I don't know, I just want some of y'all's opinions. Like, we all know that Virginia Joffrey brought down one of the biggest, I don't know how to say it without getting banned, but let's just say we all know she was a very, very humongous part in the Epstein trials. So, just curious, what's everybody think?
Hello, long time no speak on here. I felt the need to come on, excuse me, because I heard the news this morning about Virginia Giuffre's suicide. And I thought, there's another one that's apparently allegedly committed suicide and spoken their truth, shall we say. So again, this is all alleged, no facts here, this is for entertainment purposes only, as much as I hate using that word, TikTok make me use it before I do my cards. No facts, just what the cards are saying and my opinion, okay? So, I wanted to use my true crime card because, in my opinion, I think we're looking at a bit of a crime. So, if you don't know who Virginia Giuffre is, obviously she is the one that made a claim against Prince Andrew, abuse back in the day. She got a big payout, and of course she wasn't going to live happily ever after, was she? She went up against them. You can't even go up against them and think you can get away with it. This is what's wrong in the world. So, again, just my opinion. But yeah, look at Thomas Kingston. Look at lots of them. We could go on and on. But I just wanted to draw 9 true crime cards, maybe 10, just to see what comes up. Because you never know. With regards to what happened to her, you know, it was very bizarre circumstances again. You know, she had that car accident, allegedly then had days to live, and then it was like that was false, and then I don't know, all very strange circumstances. And then suddenly she voted herself off the island. Do you think someone would do that when they fought for justice for years and years and years and spoke their truth? Do you think they would then go, oh, do you know what? Bye. I don't think so. I just don't think so. So let's go. True crime cards. Guides. Let's see what comes up with regards to Vanessa Giuffre and what happened at her farm in Perth in Australia. Was there a crime committed? What cards are the guides going to give me with regards to this? Like, what actually really happened with Vanessa?
I think she's like not a fortune teller because she's reading some cards. She call it true crime cards, but she reading some kind of cards.
9. I will get 10 if we need a clarity. Okay, shall we see if we can paint a picture here or not? So, outer space, interesting. So, instantly
the first card say outer space.
A drone, constantly being in surveillance, you know? Or she's in the ether, I don't know. Something to do with being watched from above, you know? Always being on, you know, she couldn't ever be free, I suppose, after what's happened. Spouse and partner to do with the true crime.
This card says spouse partner.
About what happened. Are we going to get more information coming from them? Are they still together? I thought they weren't, and there was some kind of hoo-ha with them, as far as I know. But spouse and partner involved in some way, shape, or form. Interesting. Water. I haven't read what happened to Virginia. I've read no details. I don't tend to look at the details before I do a reading because I don't like to know too much information. But there seems to be water involved with regards to what happened. Whether someone came overseas to do something, whether there was water involved in what happened with her, I don't know. I'm sure you'll all tell me in the comments. Tunnel. Isn't that funny?
Tunnel.
Come up with regards to what Virginia used to talk about. I don't think I need to say much more on that, but tunnels. Underground tunnels. Who can we connect that with, hey? There's a clue. We know. If you know, you know. Travel.
Travel.
So someone travelled to be involved. There's travel involved in the crime. Social media, yeah.
Social media.
A weird one because she put out some weird, apparently, posts before it happened. Was she forced to do that? Were they really her posts? Social media, there's clues. So keep an eye out on social media or look back at her old social media. Interesting.
Serial
Who
killer.
could they be that just do a lot of things like this? I could name a few. There you go. Money. Yeah,
Money.
She got paid a lot of money after that case, but obviously she wasn't able to enjoy that money, was she? It's always going to be tarnished because of who she's involved with, unfortunately. Yeah, secret. So it's always going to be kept a big secret.
Secret.
How she went, you know. There's going to be lots of secrets around it. Things that won't make sense, things that won't add up as to what happened or what really happened. We're not going to get to the truth of it because it's a secret. Like behind closed doors again, you know. Because they won't want you to know, obviously. They cover it up, that's what they do, in my opinion. So, interesting. Secrets. People that have done it before. Money.
She bored.
To shut people up as well. Paying someone to do something. You know, money talks, people. Really sad, really, really sad. I mean, you got to hope that she's been put in witness protection or something. That's my only hope with regards to... Well, it just feels...
Let's talk about some individuals who may have wanted to silence Virginia Giuffre. Now, I must note it's crucial to approach this topic with sensitivity and avoid unfounded speculation. Examining the context of her accusations and examining the individuals involved might provide further insight into the pressures that she was facing. First up, we have Prince Andrew, Duke of York. Virginia accused Prince Andrew of sexually abusing her when she was just a teenager, alleging that Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell trafficked her to him. Although Prince Andrew denied the allegations, he settled a civil lawsuit with Giuffre in 2022 for a reported $12 million, which included a substantial donation to her victims advocacy charity. The settlement avoided a public trial, but the allegations significantly tarnished his reputation and led to his withdrawal from the public royal duties. Given the potential for further damaging revelations, Prince Andrew had a vested interest in limiting additional disclosures. Then we have Alan Dershowitz. Dershowitz, a prominent attorney and former Harvard law professor, was also accused by Giuffre of actual misconduct, which he denied. The two were engaged in a prolonged legal battle, with Giuffre suing him for defamation and Dershowitz countersuing. In 2022, both parties agreed to drop their lawsuits without any financial settlement, and Giuffre acknowledged she may have been mistaken in identifying Dershowitz. Despite the resolution, the case brought significant public scrutiny to Dershowitz, and further allegations could have reignited legal and reputational challenges for him. Other high-profile individuals. Giuffre's allegations extended beyond Prince Andrew and Alan Dershowitz. She claimed that Epstein and Maxwell trafficked her to several powerful men, including one, Jean-Luc Brunel. I left him in there. It can't possibly be him. Jean-Luc Brunel passed away by self-exit in his jail cell the same exact way as Jeffrey Epstein, and I found that weird. They were also both involved in the trafficking, correlated with Victoria's Secret, one of Les Wexner's companies, so left it in there. Glenn Dubin, a billionaire hedge fund manager with alleged ties to Epstein. Bill Richardson, I left him in here too. He's no longer on this planet, but Bill Richardson, former governor of New Mexico and U.S. ambassador of the United Nations. Homie was land leasing state-owned land to Epstein for Zorro Ranch that I keep mentioning. Then we have George Mitchell, former U.S. Senate Majority Leader and Special Envoy for Middle East Peace. Let's talk about some individuals who may have wanted to silence Virginia Giuffre.